We have a table that predicts the chance of rain in Orlando for the next 5 days, and we have to choose any 2 days and compare the probability. So pretty easy. I might say something like, or I would say something like, the probability of rain on Wednesday is much greater than the probability of rain on Thursday, or the probability of rain on Thursday is much less than the probability of rain on Tuesday, or the probability of rain on Thursday is only slightly less than the probability of rain on Friday, something like that. Then for the second part of this question, if you're planning to spend a day at the Magic Kingdom, which day would be best? Explain your answer. So I'm assuming, I guess, that everyone knows what the Magic Kingdom is, right? It's one of the theme parks at the Disney World Resort. So if I had to choose which day in this week to spend at the Magic Kingdom, I would pick Thursday because Thursday has the lowest probability for rain. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people, adults included, when they look at these weather predictions, they're like, oh my gosh, 70%, it's going to rain all day. That's not what that means, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to rain 70% of the day. It doesn't tell you how long it's going to rain. It could rain for 10 minutes. It's just telling you that it will most likely rain at some point during the day. But just because it says 70% doesn't mean that it's going to rain most of the day. It just means there is a high probability that at some point during that day, it will rain. Okay? All right. That's it for that question. Question 2. See what I mean? A coin is flipped at the start of every game to determine if Team A heads or Team B tails. We got the ball first. Find the theoretical probability of a fair coin landing on heads. If you watched the last video, we did this same exact problem. So the theoretical probability of a fair coin landing on heads is one outcome out of a total of 2 outcomes. So we could write that as a fraction, we could write it as a decimal, or we could write it as a percent. Right? That is the probability that a fair coin will land on heads. Flip a coin 12 times and record the frequency of each outcome. So let me take you over to the Flip Simulator site. I still have it open. And you can see that I have coin flips here. Let me move this over. And you can see that I have flipped the coin 12 times. And I got heads 5 times, right? So back to our question at hand. I flipped the coin 12 times, record the frequency of each outcome. Now it's going to be different. You're going to do your own coin flip, okay? You're not going to use my results. Do your own coin flip experiment. Flip your coin 12 times. You can pause the video right now and do your own coin flip. I got 5 heads and 7 tails, right? That is the frequency of each outcome. I got heads 5 times, I got tails 7 times. Determine the experimental probability of landing on heads. So for my experiment, now yours may come out differently. For my experiment, the experimental probability of landing on heads was 5 out of 12. That's it. You don't have to convert it to a decimal. If you want to convert it to a decimal, then you would just do 5 divided by 12 on your calculator. Right? And then compare the theoretical and experimental probabilities. Explain. So my theoretical probability is what we got in part A, right up here. My theoretical probability was 1/2. Now, if that is out of 12 times of flipping, right? I have to think, what is half of 12? Well, half of 12 is the same as 1/2 times 12, right? Which is 6. So half of 12, right? 1/2 could be written as 0.5, could be written as 50%. But if I'm flipping the coin 12 times, then that means that I should get 6 out of the 12 times to be heads. That would be my theoretical probability, right? Would be 1/2 or 0.5 or 50% or 6/12, right? They're all equivalent. My experimental probability, though, was 5/12. So maybe your experimental probability came out to be more than your theoretical. Maybe they came out the same. Maybe it came out less like mine did, right? But you're going to do your own coin flip, record the results, and then compare them with me, right? So in probability, well, your theoretical probability also will be 6 out of 12. We'll have to see how your experimental probability compares. Mine's 5 out of 12. Yours may be different. That's it. Talk to you guys soon.